Well, the Wiggles have launched an unusual new promotional video showing how they came to the rescue of September 11 victims. It features accounts from families who say the children's entertainers helped them through the hard times.
I had, a son, 10 and a half months at this time, that I would absolutely, I had to protect him from these images. And the only way that I could think of doing that in those days was to have the Wiggles on. And they were on in my house 24/7.
Yeah, the Wiggles say they were touched by the stories they heard in the aftermath of the terror attacks, but some have now criticised the video for being inappropriate. So with more on this, we're joined by showbiz commentator Peter Ford in Melbourne, and joining us in the studio, advertising expert Matthew Bywater. Good morning to both of you. Let's start with you, Pete. Do you think this video is in bad taste?
Not bad taste. I think it's a questionable move on their part. Let's get this really clear. We love the Wiggles. You've had them in there 100 times. I've sat next to Anthony on planes a few times. They are really dedicated to what they do. They are great guys. They're not doing it for the money at this stage of their lives. They do it because they love it. But I think this move is a really interesting one. We here in Australia probably perceive it a bit differently to what people in the States will do. We tend to not like people talking about the good things they do and they achieve. And the Wiggles, I can promise you, do a lot of things that you never actually hear about. Very different, say, to you, Mel, when you go overseas to a third world country, they want you to come back and talk about it and you become a conduit for information. But in this case, I think having the Wiggles sit down and talking about themselves and the great things they did and achieved, whilst I'm sure every word of it's true, I don't know that it really rubs well.
Yeah, Matthew, what's your view? Why would they do this? And do you think that's the key, that the difference between Australian audiences and American audiences?
Yeah, there is a huge difference. There's a huge cultural difference between the two countries. The Americans tend to be very patriotic, and they like to also tout their wares, if you like. They like to strut their stuff. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and we tend to be the opposite. We tend to want to sort of be very quiet, keep it to ourselves, and let other people do the talking. So you've got that cultural difference. But I have to say, I don't think the Wiggles come out and sort of beat their chest about this. I don't think they come out and said, hey, look at us, we're so wonderful and great. They just post this on their YouTube channel and then the rest have just run through the media. They just come along and said, hey, this is a very tragic event. We're happy in what we do in not just our jobs, but in the love of what we do for a job. We can actually help people. And let's just spread that.
Yeah, they do help an enormous amount of people. And Peter, like you say, at this stage of their career, they're not really thinking about doing things for the money. Or do you think for the PR as well? Would they be worried about any backlash?
Well, they still are running a business. I mean, they have never put a foot wrong. In all the years they've been around, they have never done anything wrong. There's been no bad publicity really associated with them. And I don't think this is going to be any kind of speed hump for them either. I just think perhaps here in Australia, we view it differently. Most of us would think, oh, you didn't really need to shine the spotlight on yourself. I think if I could really wanted to be hysterically funny, I'd say this is just a hot potato.
Oh.
Yes. You know what, I wouldn't want to compare it to 9/11, and thank God I've never been through anything like that. But as a parent, I tell you, they've saved me many a time. So we're all forever grateful. Yeah. All right, an interesting chat. Peter, Matthew, thanks so much, both of you. Have a good day.